My name is Sian Gooding and I'm a PhD student here in the Department of Computer Science and Technology. My research is on text simplification, which is all about building tools to adapt text to suit the needs of different audiences. There's a couple of reasons why it's important for me to work in that area. The first one, probably a more personal reason, is that my mom learnt to read as an adult. And I think listening to her experience of what that was like really motivated me and gave me an awareness of how difficult it can be for people who haven't had necessarily the education and been taught how to read at an early age. I think also I really value working in an area that's applied and that can actually make a difference. That's something that's always been really important to me, and I feel very proud to work on tools that I genuinely think will empower people. A lot of what I orientate my work towards are people who are very low literacy. So there's 6.1 million adults in the UK who are functionally illiterate, and this means that trying to access things like health information is incredibly difficult for them, and especially also political information too. There's a real stigma associated with not being able to read. And it isn't just something that impacts adults. We know that 1 in 5 children have real difficulties with reading and learning to read, and this impacts all of their areas of their education. So text simplification is a really applied area because ultimately I'm building tools, and the aim of my work is to be able to put these tools in the hands of people who actually need them. But with that being said, it is a very theoretical area because there's lots of different strands of theory that go into how to build these tools. So there's psycholinguistics, there's cognitive science, there's also obviously computer science. Being from Birmingham and from a working class background, I actually went to a state school, and it was an all-girls school, which I think in some ways was very good, but it actually meant that computer science as an A-level wasn't offered. So I think I did have a somewhat unconventional path to getting into computer science. I remember feeling very frustrated doing my A-levels because, as I said, I'm a very applied person, and to me it wasn't clear what the application was for maths or physics and how this would actually fit into something useful. So with that frustration, I ended up dropping out of A-levels and taking some time to kind of figure out what it was that I actually wanted to do. And luckily I ended up getting a job at PC World, which I think kick-started me thinking about computer science as an option. So in PC World I was primarily working on the shop floor and selling computers, but more and more I got interested in what we called the knowledge bar, where they would fix the computers and sometimes work on code. And actually this opened up a whole new world for me of what goes on behind the scenes in computing, and this really inspired me then to apply to do computer science for degree. I think for me, once I had an objective and I knew that I wanted to go and do computer science, then the way that I viewed the A-levels was so different because that was my ticket to get into university. And I remember walking around PC World with a maths book, kind of hiding this maths book and looking at it in my break because I finally had this motivation. So when I started the degree, I was absolutely overwhelmed because I hadn't really had the background in computer science in the same way that other people who'd done the A-level had. So it felt for a long time like I was kind of catching up. Although there were definitely times where I had very much imposter syndrome and felt as though, especially when you look around and you don't necessarily see many people that look like you or that are female, overall the experience was really great, and it's one of the best things that I've done in my life was getting my degree. So I did my MPhil here, which was a 9-month course, and it was very much a research-orientated MPhil, which suited me. And I think it really helped me realise that I was a researcher and brought out, I had so much joy being able to work on projects, having the autonomy and freedom that I think is a really crucial part of research. So it was a life-changing experience. I was very fortunate actually to get a scholarship for MPhil as well from the department, which really helped, because I do think that this is something that means that people can't actually study, not just at Cambridge but anywhere. Regarding the PhD, I was really lucky to get a Harding scholarship, which is a very generous scholarship and actually has money put aside for you to spend on research, which has been so important because it's meant that I've been able to do experiments that I wouldn't have been able to do. For instance, one of my favourite projects that I've worked on is all about how word complexity changes for different audiences, and in order to look into that we had to have a data set you know, with words annotated by different people, and it meant that these types of projects were possible for me. So I was incredibly lucky to get that. I think it's really important to have female role models in computer science. I've been especially lucky because both at the University of Birmingham and also at Cambridge, I've met many women in computer science who have really inspired me, especially to pursue research and academia. I think it's really important because there's a saying, you can't be what you don't see. And often having role models really allows you to envision a world where you could perhaps take that path yourself. I think through this journey of trying to then, you know, do my A-levels whilst I was at PC World and getting in to do computer science, and especially early on in the degree when I felt very overwhelmed, it's amazing to be now to see myself at Cambridge University and to have got such a good scholarship. It really does feel genuinely like a dream come true. That's why it's so important for me to actually show other people in that position that it absolutely is possible.